back, everybody, to the Electric Trans Am project. In the last episode, we went ahead and removed the frame rails out of the 78 Trans Am, and that was in order to make room for my suspension mounting points that I'm going to be putting in. The frame rail was in the way, and so I thought the best thing to do was get the frame out of the way so that we can put a whole new frame in the car. And when we put the frame in the car, we will make room so that the suspension control points won't interfere with the frame. Once we get the frame rails out, we got a bunch of cleanup to do on the sides. I cut the floor out, so the floor reinforcements need to be cleaned off and everything. Also, this episode we're going to focus on trimming up the frame rails and getting them prepped up for the new frame rails to install. The way I started this was I basically wanted to rough cut the frame first before I do my final trimming. I like using a Sawzall to do my rough cuts rather than a cutoff wheel. I just don't like sparks flying in my face, and so anytime I can eliminate that as far as sparks flying in my face, I will. So a lot of times you'll see me just using a Sawzall to do my rough cuts, and then I will use a cutoff wheel, grinder, all that stuff to do my final trimming when we get down there. But right now, we'll use the Sawzall to get this part of the frame out of the way. There's still a lot more to be cut out after this. We need to cut out the frame reinforcement from the inside of the frame rail. Along the wheelhouse, there's the wheelhouse reinforcements that will need to be removed as well. So we'll have to take those out. So we're just going to start here with the rough cutting of the outside of the frame rail, and then we'll move into the other parts. You'll notice as I'm using the Sawzall that I'm kind of moving all over the place to make the cuts that I need. Some areas I'll have start a nice clean cut, and then it'll kind of go sideways a little bit, and so I'll kind of reposition and get that cut to line up with where I want to go. So I jump around a bit trying to get this, and then trying to cut out exactly where I want it to cut. So for me, it works out pretty good. It works pretty quick, and I like, there again, no sparks in my face, and I'm able to get cut out a clean line after everything is said and done. Alright, now that we've got that first piece out of the way, we'll go ahead and start the next step, which is kind of grinding out the reinforcement. It was a little tricky to get into this. Some I had to grind out, other areas I had to drill out, but I wanted to leave as much metal on the outside of the frame rail as possible, so I didn't drill out the spot welds through the frame rail, through the reinforcement, because I wanted to leave the frame rail intact. So it was important to grind out as much as I could from the inside of the reinforcement, so I didn't drill out anything unnecessary. And you'll see later on when I go to put my new frame rails in why I did this. Now there were certain areas that did need to be drilled out, and so this is the outside wheelhouse reinforcement that goes into the frame rails. These areas needed to be drilled out. You can see all my little white dots. That just shows me where a spot weld is and where it needs to be drilled out. So I started with just an 1/8 inch drill bit to drill a pilot hole. It's easy to get a 1/8 inch bit through the frame rail than it is a 5/8 bit through the frame rail. And so we'll just start with this, and then after I'm done there, I'll move up to a 5/8 bit to drill out the spot weld the rest of the way. Now, one thing with a drill, you got to put some pressure on there. Sometimes you got to be there for a while. It gets pretty tedious, and your arm can get sore after a while from pushing so hard for a bit. I've got another drill I like to use whenever I can. I'll show you that here in a minute. But this drill is a Spitzenagel drill. And I like this drill because it does all the work for you. You don't have to sit there and push on it. You just adjust the collar on the drill bit to drill through the amount of metal that you want. It stops if you don't want to go all the way through all your sheets of metal. It'll stop through the first sheet, second sheet, however many sheets you want. And it cuts a nice clean square hole. There's no divot in it, so this is a nice drill. It's an expensive drill. I've used this drill in the auto body business for a long time. This is usually what I'll use to remove spot welds when I need to change a quarter panel, a rear body panel, a rocker, whatever. They have different arm attachments that you can put on it, and so you can get into deeper areas. Basically, the way this thing works is it's got an anvil on one side, and then the drill actually puts all the pressure on the other side. It's actuated by air pressure. This thing works great, works like a charm. I was having some problems with this one. I couldn't figure out why at first, and then I noticed my drill bit was chipped in the corner. Once you get a chipped drill bit on this thing, it takes forever for these things to drill, but if you have a nice clean drill bit on this thing cuts like butter, and it cuts in no time, and you don't have to sit there and put a bunch of pressure on it like you do a hand drill. It does all the work for you, so this is like my go-to drill whenever I can. The downside of it is it's only got a 8 millimeter bit or a 10 millimeter bit that you can use in the machine, but that's what you need for drilling out spot welds on most cars. You don't need anything bigger than that. With all the spot welds drilled out of the wheelhouse reinforcement, I'm able to finish cutting the rest of the frame rail that's on the inside up against that reinforcement. So here again, I'll just use my Sawzall, trim it up a bit until I know that I've cut through that panel. And so just because I've cut through the panel, it won't release because those spot welds still have little nubbies on it a little bit. So what we need to do is take a air hammer and just chisel the remaining spot weld off of that hole that's been drilled. And it doesn't take a whole lot. I got my spot weld remover chisel on the air hammer, and you can see it just kind of pops off. And there we go. That panel is now out of our way, and we can do some more trimming on this thing. As you can see here, I was able to get everything trimmed away without ripping the metal. Spot welds look nice clean holes, didn't rip any of the surrounding metal around it, and so we can move on to the next thing, which is removing these frame rail reinforcements. Now on the frame rail reinforcement, I have the jig plate mounted to the frame rail right through that frame reinforcement. That was a factory spot for, I think the bump stop was there or something for the axle, but it was a good spot for me to tie in to secure that jig to the car. So we just need to remove this bolt right here so we can access that frame reinforcement and get it out of the way. Now there's still some spot welds left on that reinforcement to the frame rail. I'm just going to take a drill and drill out as much as I can from the top down, not to go through the bottom of the frame rail. I just want to drill through the reinforcement itself. I couldn't get a grinder in there. There was just no possible way to grind those spot welds, and so I got to use a drill, but I want to make sure I don't drill through the frame rail. So I used a larger bit than what the spot welds were so that it would cut around there. And then once I was comfortable that I got the spot welds drilled out, I just took my air hammer and started trying to break those spot welds loose. Now I switched between my spot weld breaker and my long chisel bit. I like the spot weld breaker. It cuts around the spot welds real nice, but when I have to use my long chisel bit, it doesn't do as good of a job. It kind of tries to rip metal rather than tear around it, but it cut it out and it got it out of there. So then, now that I got it out of there, I'll go ahead and clean up the residual spot welds that are there. It left a little bit. Doesn't remove it as clean as when you can drill all the way through. So we went ahead and just ground them up. And then the metal was a little deformed from me using the chisel and not being able to cut all the way through the spot welds. So what I have to do here is I have to straighten the metal on the frame rail before I can finish grinding out those spot welds, because I don't want to take too much metal away. If I didn't do that, you'd have a high spot and you would end up grinding out the metal of the frame rather than the residual spot weld. So it's always good to get a nice clean flat surface and then finish cleaning up your spot welds from there. So now that I got that all done, I'm just going to go ahead and make some holes in the frame rail. And this is going to be for where I'm going to put my frame rail gusset. The gusset's a very important part because that is basically going to be the in-between piece where we bond the two frame rails. It also spreads out the load of that section where we're going to weld the two together. We're going to try to put it in as deep as we can. I'm thinking it's going to be like a 4 to 6 inch gusset each direction. This way it'll spread the load in each direction, and it'll make that point a very strong area. So I'll just drill out these, and you can see I went with the machine drill and then my hand drill. That way my hand drill was able to drill out a bigger hole, but I used the machine drill first to make it easy on myself because I don't have to push that way. Like I said, and then I just came back with my bigger bit on my machine drill, drilled it out the rest of the way. Took my finger sander and ground down any burrs on the inside so that the sheet metal was nice and smooth on the inside. That way that gusset has nothing to bind up against, and it's a flat mating surface for the two of them once I get it in there. Now that we've got that all cleaned up, we're going to go ahead and put the face shield on and do some final grinding. I like the face shield so I don't get that sparks in my face. We got the final trim done on this thing now. Just about, actually. We still have to remove a little bit of metal. And what we're going to remove here is we're going to remove the wheelhouse reinforcement because that is in my way from doing the final trim on the frame rail. I want to make sure that everything is square and it's going to fit right. And so here I'm going to just cut out this reinforcement because it's in my way. We'll go ahead and rebuild this later. Probably something different after we get the frame rails in. But for now, this piece has got to go. Always makes me a little nervous cutting out these pieces because, you know, this is strength in your car. This car was a modified unibody, and so a lot of the strength came in from the parts being welded to one another. Now the good thing about what I'm doing here is I'm putting in a whole frame rail in this vehicle, and so it won't be a modified unibody anymore. It'll be almost a full frame car. You'll see as the project moves forward what I mean. But so we're going to get rid of this reinforcement, good, bad, or ugly. We're going to take it out and see what happens in the future. Now with that out of the way, cleaned up, we are going to go ahead and start mocking up the frame rail to install into the car. So make sure you follow me on the next episode, and we will start installing some frame rails. But I want to thank you guys for watching. If you guys know anybody that might be interested in this video, go ahead and share it with them. Hit that like and subscribe button for me, guys. It helps my channel be successful and helps me get through this project a little quicker. Alright, you guys stay safe out there, and we'll see you on the next episode.